Not a courthouse. That's the purpose right here. No.
You ready?
We'll call to order. Actually, this will be a reconvene the meeting that we had started. And time of the recess has expired. So we'll start with where we were in the previous meeting on this agenda. So I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Here, before we do the agenda, I'd like to hear from John Underwood about how he's going to fix the issue that he caused.
For the record, Mr. Mayor, I sent all the counselors a letter on Wednesday stating my opinion, and I'd like to make this letter a part of today's minutes verbatim. Dear Mayor and Councilors, as you know, at the last regular meeting of the governing body of the city of Rio Grande, Mexico, held on July 22nd, 2024, when the mayor requested approval of the agenda, Councilor Lakeland made a motion to adjourn and recess until Monday, July 29th, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. in order to amend the agenda. She then went on to state several items under new business that she wanted to add to the new amended agenda she proposed. I, as city attorney, stated that the motion was out of order as I had no prior notice of the items she proposed to be added, and a legal review would be necessary before I could approve of the proposed amended agenda. Councilor Lacewell agreed to such legal review. Copy of the draft minutes of said meeting are attached. That motion subject to the legal review was passed unanimously. Following the meeting, I was furnished a copy of the proposed amendments for the first time. I have now had an opportunity to review the law applicable to this matter. There are two very important legal issues which preclude approval of the amended agenda. The first, the City of Rio Grande Ordinance 31.02D, which provides that any agenda items must be approved by the mayor. The mayor had advised that he never approved proposed items 10 A, B, C, D, or E to be included on the agenda, nor does he approve of them at this time. Also, as hopefully all of you know, it is necessary to comply with the Open Meetings Act as adopted in the state of New Mexico, 10-15-1. 10-15-1E provides that public body may recess and convene at a later date, but only that matters appearing on the agenda of the original meeting may be discussed at the reconvened meeting. Therefore, the proposed revision to the agenda is hereby denied because it does not comply with the requirements set forth above. The agenda for the meeting of July 29th at 5:30 p.m. shall remain as published for the July 22nd regular meeting. Copies of the draft minutes, ordinance 3102, section 10-15-1 NMSA 1978 are attached for your review. Today at approximately 1:16 p.m., I received a letter from Jody Lacewell, which I also asked to be made a part of this record, of which I will read into it, which I asked to now be made a part of this agenda verbatim, of this meeting verbatim. And I will provide, I think that Hallie was sent a copy of it. It doesn't show that the other counselors was sent a copy of it. But in stating this, she says, after reviewing your letter via email dated July 24th, so she got it. Please know that the city councilors disagree with your opinion. Your understanding, opinion, and version of the events are not accepted by this city council. So my first question to you, Ms. Lacewell, is when it says, please know that the city councilors disagree with your opinion, do you mind if I poll the city councilors and see if this was discussed, that your letter was discussed with them prior to sending it?
You can poll them and ask them whether or not they agree with this is your opinion.
Okay, and may I ask how you know or don't know that?
Before we were ever elected, all of us were in agreement that you needed to be not concerned.
Well, I get that, but I have a contract at the moment that runs until through next June of next year. So That being given, I am here and I am the attorney. So Councilor Proctor, were you consulted in this letter?
Not directly.
How were you indirectly consulted?
I refuse to answer that.
Interesting. Councilor Miller, were you consulted with this letter?
No.
Councilor Faber, were you consulted?
You know, I'm not gonna go along with this bullshit, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and say
Would
what
that
you gotta
motion
say.
be compliance with the law?
No, it's not that, it's not that.
Would it have
Every time we come in here,
Have anything to
you
do
wanna
with-
do what you wanna do.
Well, it appears to me that Councilor Lacewell and the three of you want to do what you want to do.
What's the
My
three of
question
us?
to you is this: have y'all committed the unlawful act of committing a rolling quorum in discussing this matter?
Oh, that's what you're trying to ask. No,
Is that a yes or no?
that'd be a
Okay, so-
freaking
so-
no.
So a freaking no. So when Councilor Lacewell tells me in her letter, that's now part of this record, okay, that you know that the city councilors disagree with your opinion and that the version of expects are not accepted by this city council, how do you know that, Councilor Lacewell?
Like I said, from before the time these people even were elected, it was a unanimous opinion that your opinion and your understanding and your version of the law
Is wrong.
is not in agreement with the way the law is written.
So in effort to have your version of the law decided, you decided that you wanted to get your own attorney and get rid of this attorney. Is that correct?
No, that's not right.
So let's just say that I do understand that whatever it is, whatever opinion that I give, you're saying that you nor this council will agree with. Is that correct?
No, sir. I'm saying that if your opinion disagrees with written state statutes and written city ordinances, then I don't agree with it.
Okay, and I have written to you my letter that says it agrees with state statutes and ordinances. Now, I understand that you believe Robert's Rules of Order will overrule a state statute and a city ordinance.
That's not true, sir.
Well, I'm entering your letter as evidence of your opinion, okay?
That'd be great.
But my opinion is that there is only one agenda for tonight, and that is the one that was recessed on July the 22nd. And that is the agenda that will be before you.
The agenda on July the 22nd was never accepted. It was
That's
never
right. So
approved.
that's why we have approval of the agenda.
Right, and it was never approved.
That's right.
And so it was recessed with the addition of the agenda.
Subject to legal review, which you agreed to.
I did not,
Yes, you
sir.
did.
That's a lie. I've
No,
got
it's
the
not a lie.
transcript.
I've got the transcript. too.
Okay, you read to where I say, let's restate this motion. Or yes, Mr. Underwood, I
You know,
agree.
you and I are just gonna get into a shouting match, so I'm gonna cut, I agree with Babe, I'm tired of this shit too. So, my ruling is that your motion with subject to a new agenda is out of order, it's not acceptable, and it's illegal. So the ruling is that you either deal with the agenda that we have set for tonight, or we adjourn.
Mr. Underwood, as the attorney for our city, you cannot veto the vote, the unanimous vote of this council.
Madam,
And I have-
Madam Lacewell, you're welcome to take this matter to court and have me overruled, but that is my ruling.
I have contacted the Department of Justice. The Attorney General is looking at
That is just fine. But until somebody comes here and overrules that decision, the decision will stand.
You don't get to make the decisions for this council. When they make a
Councilor
vote,
Lacewell, he is a city attorney.
right, but we had a
Hey.
unanimous vote, Mayor.
Councilor, how about listening once in a while? He is a city attorney. He has experience that you can't even come close to. What have you done? And you snicker at that, what have you done? He's been a state representative. He's been municipal attorney for the village of Ruidosa, the Downs. Tell me, what are your qualifications to make legal
Did
decisions?
somebody make a decision?
He just stated.
All right, the decision is, I'm gonna go with the agenda that we had going the last meeting.
Not your choice.
It is.
He's the chair.
No, sir.
Yeah,
No,
he's
sir.
the chair.
Have we done, have we?
No, sir, sir,
The pledge of allegiance? Have we done
No,
that?
we recessed the previous meeting that had already had the.
No, well.
Have you
according to
been
this,
recognized by
it's
the
here.
chair, Mr.? Have you been recognized by the chair?
Okay. Just need to go forward.
Mr. Mayor,
what,
can you go ahead with approval?
So it is fine with me if they recess and adjourn, subject to providing me with what they want on the agenda for me to make legal rulings on.
You said that. I didn't say that. You said that. I never agreed to that. I've got the entire transcript.
Subject to legal review, you said.
I never said that.
Why didn't you challenge it, Counselor?
I never said it. Why would I challenge something I never said?
No. I heard him say that. You heard him say that. You didn't challenge it.
We didn't agree to it.
Or
either.
agreed to
There's
it.
nothing in these transcripts that says
I'm
we amend our,
Point of order. Mayor, the motion was made to adjourn and recess for a week and add to the agenda. If the attorney would like to look this over for a week and we can come back on Monday, a week from today, and he can make his decision.
exactly. And Brock and I both said that to you. We're going to go through with this amendment.
My
act,
decision is that the agenda could not be amended the way that you wanted to have it amended.
And we disagree with you.
Okay, then you're free to disagree with me.
Okay, then we'll resign and come back in 72 hours. City clerk, would you go ahead and post it the way it's supposed to be posted?
No, my ruling is that we're going to only,
Joey, we
vote on
can
the-
get an extension on that. I've already talked about.
would you?
Then y'all can do it, because I got all this flooding and we're dealing with all this catastrophe. We don't need to.
I'm not gonna be talking to somebody on the phone about your preferred legal ruling. If somebody wants to write me a letter, meet with me, I'm happy to do that. But the ruling at the moment is that you're dealing with the agenda, which includes a budget, includes police matters, and things that need to be dealt with besides getting rid of me, Steve, and Ally. So you've got a lawsuit to determine that. Yes, you do. The lawsuit says that the reason that the mayor has done malfeasance of office is before his failure to not follow the directions of getting rid of me, Ally, and Heath, and firing Nancy. So that is the lawsuit that's in front of us, and that's what you've chosen to do. In the meantime, there's business to be done by this city council, and so today we cost the city
Well, let's just go on
$800.
with what you said, John, and do what we're supposed to do and get it over with and quit this damn bickering.
Well, then let's have a meeting with the agenda that's in front of you.
First, you
Then
read
go
my
for it.
letter.
You've done disqualified the other stuff.
That's fine with me.
I would like you to finish reading the letter, please.
So I've entered it into evidence, so it's a matter of evidence.
I think you said.
Okay.
you would read the letter.
We,
He says he's not going to read it. He's just going to.
You want me to read it?
Yeah. And you're gonna do it.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. Your statement said that I agreed to legal review. It's absolutely not true. I did not agree to anything like that, and I'm provided the transcript of the meeting as a proof of that fact. And I disagree with that. I never agreed to amend the original motion. I never restated the motion with a contingency. And more than once, you informed me to bring your review. You were informed to bring your review to the meeting on July 29th, and we would look at it then.
That's
I gave you my review on July the 24th.
No, we said you could bring it to this meeting, not, we didn't need a letter ahead of time. You could.
I gave you a letter ahead of time so that you wouldn't be thinking that you got complied with your 72-hour notice.
Well, you were wrong.
But no, I'm not reading it.
yeah,
It's going to be
you
an
know,
argument.
yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor, number 4.
Your comment?
Approval of agenda.
I believe I asked for that already.
I'll make that motion.
I thought we didn't like playing games. So just note that again, that the council refused to act on this matter. We do have public here and just want you guys to know that the last meeting was 15 minutes long. And it cost the city $800, 200 per counselor. I just wonder if
Well,
they're
you
gonna
can keep my
accept
200.
this,
if you
this,
want it.
just
The city
wonder.
needs it.
What, sir?
I said, you can keep my 200 if the city needs it. It's no biggie.
I thought you'd say that.
Yeah.
Because you're that kind of person.
I'm the kind of person who stands up for myself and what I said I do for the city.
I just gave you a compliment. You're taking
No.
offended, and you're even taking offensive to that.
No.
Everybody's going around mad all the
I'm
time.
gonna change
Okay,
that.
so let's
Can I
go.
change that, please? I wanna approve the agenda with all the items that are necessary that we need to get done for sure. And also, we've got public here. They haven't been heard since all this disaster. I'd like to change the public input to 10 minutes instead of 3. for today. We've had a disaster here. There's a lot of people that haven't had a say so. They couldn't find anybody to tell them what to do during this disaster. And, you know, I don't know if we need to talk about that, the emergency meeting that's on the agenda, but I'd like to hear from the public. And I would like to do the things that have to be done, the budget and the ICIP for Joy and the police. We need to get that done. Before, then you can argue all you want on comments, but let's get the business done first.
Thank you for that, Counselor. I would like,
Which, do you want to name specifically those of which you consider essential to get done today?
Well, I know for sure the budget has to be done, Mary, right? And also, let's do them all then. Well, can I get a second?
Clean, I'll second.
Okay,
along.
thank you.
Counselor Baber. Roll call.
What are we going for?
It's a roll call.
This is-
to do city business.
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell. Nay. Motion carried. Number 5.
I would ask to consider a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but before we do that, remove letter E, approval of the governing body minutes. They need to be corrected, especially July 1st. No, actually. July 22nd is not even on here. Anyway, these minutes need to be corrected, so I make the motion to approve the consent agenda without the letter E.
I'll second.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Baber,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell. Aye. Motion carried.
Next on the agenda is public input. We have someone that would like to address the,
I would like to, if I may.
okay, would you
I certainly will.
state your name and
Glad you went to 10 minutes because I'll try to cut it down to that. My name is Brian Roberts. I live here in the Downs with my wife Ellen at our lovely home Casa Catastrophe. First of all, I would like to thank everybody in front of me because you've chosen to serve the citizens of the city of Ruidoso Downs, and I mean that earnestly. Every single person here, despite the disagreements, has got enough concern for our town to be here, as well as the concerned citizens are here to see this happen, and I appreciate that greatly. I'd like to say that to start with. I'd like to move on to say that both sides, we obviously are at loggerheads with the city's business, which is unfortunate. But I want to remind everybody that both sides have legitimate, both sides are valid. The point of view is legitimate on both sides. Each side has a point. And I know it's going to take quite a while for that legally to resolve all of this, because that's where it seems to be. So with that said, I said the disagreement is nobody on either side of this argument is working against the interest of the people of Ruidoso Downs in their view. So, Mr. Mayor, I am certain that you are doing what you feel is best for the city, and I believe the councilors who have been voted in, everybody here, elected officials, was voted by their constituents to be here to serve the people of Ruidoso Downs. I'm reminded that a long while back, when we were fighting over the Constitution of this country, and it didn't look like it was going to pass, Mr. Franklin urged his fellows that on this occasion to doubt a little of their own infallibility. Doubt for a moment the fact that maybe, even though it feels easy to be 100% sure that you are 100% right, I absolutely know that nothing is moving forward here. And all of the citizens want the business in this town to be done, including myself. I can't speak for them because I haven't polled them, but honestly, they're here because they're concerned about our town in a very trying time. If possible, I would urge both sides
hopefully we can, it sounds like we're gonna move the ball forward today. But I would urge both sides within the Open Meetings Act and all the legal requirements to get together and try to hash out if there are a couple of areas of agreement where y'all can do the people's business. I know that there are bigger overarching issues about compliance and whether your opinion is right or their opinion is right or the mayor's opinion is right. I know that is a complicated issue and I can't begin to solve that issue. But I also know that courts move slowly and we may be at this for a very long time and we can't afford our little town in the middle of this struggle to be stalled out and on dead center. So I would ask everybody if there is some way to legally to get together and figure out what items of agreement we might have when this town is ripped apart on a nightly basis by floods. There's got to be some business that we can accomplish. And I'm not saying to give up y'all's passionate viewpoints. I'm saying that we got to move the ball forward a little bit for the people. So with that said, the last thing I wanted to say is I wanted to give Joey here some props because All American Parks never looked better in the midst of this disaster. He is constantly meeting with FEMA, with the government, with all kinds of folks that will make your hair tear out because it makes no sense the way they want to do things. But he is urgently getting his business done. And I'm glad that it's not held up by the disagreement that the executive and the legislative branch here are having. So I'm going to shut up and sit down, but I would just hope that there couldn't be a little sliver of agreement between a group of people that care enough to serve on this board.
Sir, you have done a terrific job in the committee that you have been, and for this reason, you're very level-headed. And that is really appreciated. In answer to part of yours to get this started, here's what we need to do, counselors and mayor. Do your job description. That's something that is not being done. If you'll do your job description, these problems are going to go away. But thank you for suggesting it. Yes.
My name is Bonnie Richardson. I'm a longtime resident of Rudosa Downs. And I would like to point out to you that our country was founded as a republic. Republic means that we elect representatives to voice our concerns, carry on our business with the city or the state or the federal government, whichever it happens to be. Last November, we elected a new council. I'm proud of this council, though they have not been given a chance to voice their opinions because they're not running this city. Hopefully, these representatives will carry on citizens' best interest. Their best interests are what they need. They don't need an attorney or a mayor or a city clerk to decide what their best interests are because they were elected. These other people were elected. They need a voice. They haven't been given a voice for 7 months. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I read it? Sure.
Good evening. My name is Justin Sanchez and I'm a volunteer with the Reynosa Downs Fire Department. I wanted to speak for myself, not the department. And just ask you all why no matter what our fire chief has done, he cannot get an ounce of respect from me. A man that has sacrificed his time and time away from his family to help and protect the city and its residents. Excuse me, residents. Chief Keck was begged by the volunteers of his department to take the chief position, including myself. We did not want to fall under anyone else that had no care for us besides making himself seem like a big shot. Chief Keck has done more for us than we could ever ask for. He has been a shoulder for us to cry on and a hand to pick us up and wear it down. It hurts me to see the way you treat and disrespect it, and I cannot stay quiet anymore. During the South Fork fire and Salt fire, Chief Keck ran 7 departments all together at his station and refused to go home without the certainty that this city was protected until he was ordered by us to go home after the 4th day. He needed the rest. Also, when they called for help at the senior center to unload trucks and trailers, Chief Keck made sure his firefighters and help was there to lend a helping hand. Or help was there to lend a helping hand, but no one talks about that. We have heard a rumor spread about him by a council member indicating Chief Keck abandoning his post, which I would like to make clear would and will never happen. We were told you all were here for the fire department and will listen to us. Now it is time for you all to listen from at least one of your city fire departments. Chief Keck has been a volunteer for 20+ years. That is almost longer than I have been on this. With that being said, he is more than qualified for the position he holds. Chief Keck has the respect and support from the surrounding departments, including his own. When you hear or see our fire chief's command truck in big letters, it says on it, dedicated to our duty. It is not just a saying to make our trucks look cool or fancy. It is a meaning we all take to heart. We are all dedicated to our duty to serve and protect the city and residents, and Chief Keck is living proof of how much we take that quote to heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
May I? Oh, sure.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Williams, citizen. And I apologize for that outburst, but I'm a pledge kind of guy. Just wanted to be able to know that I respect our flag and I respect our country. In front of us, we have what is considered a mayor-council government. Mayor-council government consists of the executive and the legislative, that was pointed out. The executive, being the mayor, is responsible for the functions of the city. The legislative, which is council, is responsible for providing the tools for that functionality. And right now, because of that divide that we have, and that space between the executive and the legislative, it ain't happening. It ain't going anywhere. I refer that to a fact that there's a brick wall and the city is bouncing off this wall. Oh, and not going anywhere. And then you look up, there's a sign that says divided. Okay, you see that. But next to that wall is a door. And the door says united. That's a concept that needs to be addressed with this legislative and executive board, council and executive branch. I'm dismayed. I've been there. I know what it's all about. I'm dismayed, discouraged, and disgusted about what's happening. To go as far as filing a lawsuit to try to find a resolution to this problem is out there. And are you kidding me? That's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to understand the problem, supposed to find a solution for the problem and work on it and proceed forward with it. But right now, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And nobody's willing to give that inch. You're all doing this. You should be doing this. The citizens here put you here. We elected you to represent us. Our voice should be heard through you. But all I hear is voices that doesn't have us in mind at all. We're just being left out there while you do the little squabbling that you're doing. And for our community to have to go through this, it's abusive. not only our citizens are hearing us, it's hearing from outside the city, from other communities and other leaders. And that ain't right either. We should respect each other enough to be able to work out our problems, find a solution, identify it again, and get it fixed. The kids in the room need to grow up and become adults. Step up, ladies and gentlemen. Step up and do what's right for us. We're the important ones. You represent us, that's fine. You're our voice, that's fine. Today is our voice. Step up and work with us. We're here for you. You need to be here for us. Very good. It's outrageous, man. Step up and make it happen again. I like your style. Joy's the best. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Council, my name is Sabrina Lundquist. I've been a resident here for over 45 years. All this flooding, all the sadness we have going on in our community right now. Jody Lacewell, I think you're pathetic. All
No
the
names.
fighting you're doing,
Wow.
what you're doing. You say names all the time, Beth, don't.
Yes,
Hey.
Miss Miller, you need to be quiet.
Calling out individuals, Mayor.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. But other than that, I think you guys are doing a good job. I'm sorry if we're so divided. If there's anything I could do that would bring us back together, I'd be more than happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the fire department, Joey. You guys are great.
Anyone else would like to address the governing body? Yes, ma'am.
So, I got your, and I respectfully disagree with it, okay? The city continues to violate the ordinance every single month.
You might say what it's about.
It's about the PERA, that I am required to, like some background, because I have 10 minutes. 2 days after the mediated report came out, I was told my insurance would be canceled after the judge having insurance for 10+ years. I brought this up a couple of meetings ago. I was assured I would be put on the agenda in front of the public, by the way. The mayor told me I would be put on there. I did put in all the proper paperwork, and instead, I didn't get a denial. I got a letter from Mr. Underwood. I don't agree with the letter from Mr. Underwood. I have 2 issues. One, you're telling me the city's going to continue to violate the very ordinance that was used against me by Ms. Heron to cancel my insurance. But yet, can't violate it on the insurance issue, but we can continue to violate it on the PERA. So I'm either reelected if I choose to run, or I pull the money out and I pay the interest and penalties on that. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Because I'm not allowed to respond, but is it all right if I make that letter to you a part of today's record?
Absolutely. So within that letter, it's saying city council has to bring the ordinance before the mayor. We all know that city council cannot get anything on the agenda before the mayor. So that's not going to happen. And then allegedly, which I have yet to confirm, this can't be changed anyway per the election code. But it was changed to take my insurance away, but it can't be changed because of PERA. So either we're violating it continually every month, even though my insurance was yanked for that very purpose. So I don't know how on one hand you can say, you don't get your insurance anymore under this ordinance, but by the way, you still have to do PERA. I get what PERA rules are. I understand that, but I also understand the ordinances that we are all supposed to uphold. So you can't say on one hand, it's okay to violate it every month, twice a month. But yet after 12+ years of violating it, that comes to a screeching halt. So either it needs to be put on the agenda and addressed, or something needs to be done because the city is continuing to violate their own ordinance. And as we know, counselors cannot get those on the weekend. So I don't know what the answer is, but something needs to be done about it. One way or the other. That's all.
I have a question. All right, on the PERA, which is a state sponsored, how do you expect us to overrule a state ruling? PERA, I don't think we, will have any luck if we challenge PERA.
I'm not saying challenge them. I'm saying that when the ordinance was done, when I was elected, and for at least 10 years before I was elected, the judges and city councilors got insurance and access to PERA. When I was elected, I was given both those documents. They were both filled out. 2 days after the mediated agreement or the mediated report came out, I got a letter saying my insurance was canceled. Call it retaliation, call it coincidence, call it what you want. But yes, there was no way to cancel my PERA. So either it gets back on and we fix the ordinance, right? And allow me to do PERA and insurance, or we don't. But we can't keep going month by month violating. It's comical in a way to me that we can say, oh, we're gonna pull your insurance, but by the way, you have to stay doing PERA. I know we gave you both benefits, but now halfway through your term, we're gonna pull them. Because we were wrong, it violates the ordinance. Well, so does PERA. Not my problem, because I didn't make that mistake. That mistake was made in City Hall. That mistake wasn't made in the judicial chambers. I was granted the paperwork. I was given the paperwork. And as I said, the same paperwork the judges had for well over 10 years before I took office.
Okay, so I'm not involved that directly, but my question is, are you saying it's not PERA that, my understanding is PERA is the one that canceled your insurance.
PERA didn't cancel my insurance, City Hall did.
Okay,
The issue, Mr. Mayor, is that there's an attorney general's ruling, which she also disagrees with. Is that
It's an opinion and they haven't clarified that for me yet. I've been waiting for over a week.
Well-
I understand the PRA, John.
But no,
Well-
the issue is that she wants an ordinance that provides for her to get a raise during her term. And the city council can't either give themselves raises nor give the judges raises. And the reason for that, if you think about it, has a lot of common sense to it. So if you have a judge who's favored by the city council and starts making rulings that favor the city council, it may be subject to getting a raise. If she makes makes the city council mad, the judge could receive a demotion in pay. So what the ruling of the Attorney General's opinion is that while a judge or a city councilor is sitting, they cannot receive a raise during that elected term. And that's, so we can't.
Except for the village does.
Well,
I know, you
Again, I
can't.
don't have any control over it.
Right.
But
I get it.
that's the reason that I gave you, that we can't put an ordinance giving you a raise.
That's right. So my point is then somebody needs to call PRA, say we screwed up with City Hall and we need to stop the contributions.
We did,
And
we have done. And then said you can stop the
you can't have
contributions.
one and not the other.
Or
is
they
my
said
point.
that you can stop the contributions at the end of this election term, but she just signed the document. Granted, that was my
I
mistake.
signed insurance documents
I
too, John.
understand that. We don't have to deal with PERA to do that, okay? We
That's
just
right.
have to-
That's right. That was retaliation, whistleblowing, whatever you want to call it,
Whatever you
in my
want to call
opinion.
it, I don't know. But the issue with PERA is that at the end of this elected term, you receive all of those monies that you put into PERA back.
As long as I pay the interest and the penalties on it.
Well, if you've got interest and penalties, yes, but
Because we're still in the same boat. Let's say I rerun. We're still in the same.
no,
boat.
then you're subject to a different elected cycle.
Well, then they could put in an ordinance, but right now the city's still violating that ordinance twice a month,
Not by our own choice.
knowingly violating.
You
This
know,
wouldn't even be
I've
an
discussed this
issue.
in the parking lot and the office and this and that. So We respectfully disagree with each other.
I think there's gotta be a way to fix it.
Okay.
And I don't know what that way is, but there's gotta be a way to bring the city into compliance, one way or the other. Either amend that to say, amend it. It's not a raise. It's not any more money than I'm getting right now. You guys are doing it anyway. So you're saying it's illegal to do it, but you are doing
The
it.
city is putting money into PERA also.
That's right. So you're saying it's illegal.
It was not legal for us to agree to give you the PERA, not because of PERA, because we had an ordinance that said the salary of the municipal judge is X.
Right. And for
And
12
their
years.
PERA benefits, as our insurance benefits, are considered as salary or benefit.
That's right. So that's my point. So you took one benefit,
That
but
we had,
not the
that
other.
we had power over.
That's
one
right.
which we did not.
Okay, so there you go, on the record, they had the power to take my insurance, and they willingly did that 2 days after the mediated report came out.
As we did with the council.
Thank you, Judge. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Beth Miller and I've lived here for a while. And I want to say, Dean, I've known you for a while and I've had respect for you.
Can't say names.
John, I've had respect for you as well. All you counselors, these are the people that have been voted in, and I'm grateful for that. And I feel like what these gentlemen here with the prior mayor and Brian has mentioned, that we do need to work together. I think we need to address some things like how to get things on the agenda, because people that we elected they speak for us. And how do we do that? How do things get on the agenda?
That's a question.
To get on, well, go ahead, Beth. I agree with what you're saying, to an extent.
I'm just asking a question.
Well, I mean, the way to get on the agenda is for the council to make a request of the mayor that a certain item be put on the agenda, and the mayor makes a determination whether or not that item will be on the agenda.
This thing, you know, it really gets, politics is a dirty business. Would you agree? Generally speaking,
Well,
well,
this
we've
isn't
got,
politics. This is
well,
people.
hear me out. We've got two former mayors sitting here tonight.
Right.
They're sitting with a group that tried over and over to get them fired.
We're here, it's today, it's 20.
Well, I'm just saying, a person that kind of runs this show, in my opinion, for the counselors and this kind of thing. I was friends with that individual, at that time, and she would come to me because I've been elected more than once. Counselor,
I'm just saying,
for those-
how do you get on the
for those
agenda?
people that saying, well, yeah, he ain't even been elected, yada, yada. Yeah, I have been, but this individual that has so much influence, and in my opinion, is causing all of this problem today. She's not here, but she used to come to me when I was on the city council and say, how can we get rid of Gary Williams? My answer was, I don't think you can. But she wanted to get rid of Bob Miller. She wanted to get rid of Gary Williams. She could not stand Tom Armstrong.
Can we stay on topic?
And I'm
How
on
do
the
you put
topic.
something on the agenda?
So, hey, the agenda is set. There were two, okay, let me tell you something. There were two counselors that voted for the mayor to be the one that puts things on the council. Two voted for that. They're sitting here right now. You know, when things went wrong is when we had new elections and this kind of thing. And all of a sudden, the group that's been wanting to fire mayors and this kind of thing has influenced everybody else. That's exactly how this has happened.
How does the voice of the people
No, listen, listen what I'm saying.
I-
No, you don't want to, you don't want to hear it. We had two counselors that voted for the mayor to be able to put items on the agenda, the mayor only,
I did hear you. Dean.
okay?
I did. I'm just saying,
And I'm telling you that answers your question.
well, so.
Matter of fact, the previous council all voted for that, two of which are here now. But now they are being run by,
You.
no, I've got no, hey, I've got no say over these councilors whatsoever. That's
You
part of
allow
the problem.
things on the agenda when the citizens come to the council.
Okay,
Citizens come.
it was voted on before.
The citizens come to the council.
Let's go ahead.
A good example of Mr. Mayor allowing things on the agenda is letter F through K.
F through K, that's a great acronym.
And those are all discussion items, they're not action.
Well, we've
So
already,
what I'm saying
we've already
is,
discussed
how
this.
will of the people. This is a big portion of government is the people being able to go to their counselors and say, please bring this before the meeting. And so if you deny that, you're obfuscating justice. This is not okay. So that's concerning me, Dean. I have had great respect for you. And this feels to me like something we need to overcome. The people of this town who did elect everyone, you, four of you guys, John is, I guess, appointed, Al is appointed, but we have elected you guys. We need you to get past this.
I'm doing my job description.
I'm
End of
just-
story.
I'm just saying, we need to do better.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Hope Solace, and I lived here all my life. My family's been here for generations. I see a lot of things happening down by the river with the water coming up. It's traumatizing. And I don't know what the plan is to keep us from having to keep on leaving our homes. Is there a plan? Do you guys actually have something written that we need to start doing to clear the river so it doesn't back up and come into our yards? And why did it come in from the front last time? My yard was up to above my knees, and I went outside and I thought I was going to be okay, but I wasn't. The water started rushing down River Lane. I mean, what is being done? Is there a plan in motion to help with this? Because it's going to keep on happening. And all of my neighbors are having problems that we're cleaning mud out. And I know everybody has a lot of problems, and some lost their homes at the fire. It's a horrible time right now, but I'm not familiar with the way that all this is done, but I do know that we need an advocate, someone who can actually help us. Because we don't have that. And that's really all I have to say is please help us. Not be afraid to be at home and sleep at night.
Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Hope, I just wanted to tell you that everything's tied up with FEMA and everything right now. It's just like the racetrack, honey. They were supposed to fix that in 2008. You can ask that man right there. They're supposed to fix it and it didn't get fixed. And they just keep putting stuff back to the deal. As far as I'm concerned, on our end of town, we need to start doing it right. You know,
I just think that we're supposed to be a community, and I think that oftentimes we go so down kind of the poor people. You know, Ruidoso's rich, we're poor. We've always gotten the end of the deal. But now we're getting a lot of bad stuff, and I just don't understand who's helping us.
well, FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, they've all got to go in there. They got to make their plan before they'll even
We're not allowed to touch the river, period, and we cannot help anything. If you go to the city's Facebook or go to City Hall, there's paperwork you can fill out, which is a right of entry, which will allow them to come on your property, look, and figure out what needs to be done in the future. But honestly, there's nothing to help the people that live on the river. You take care of your own, and hopefully at some point, the FEMA, the federal government, Homeland Security are gonna do something to try to address the river. It's so bad that we've got out there and tried to do things and we've been in trouble for doing it. You know, we tried to move trees and do other things, and Corps of Engineer come and shut us down. You're not allowed to be in the river. Can't be on the edge. And then we have to remember that 15.4 feet was the river flood this time. This never happened in this area. Our previous high was like 12.2. So things that we thought would never flood are flooding now, and realistically, it's probably gonna get worse.
And we got 22 inches already.
Yes. But there is right of entry. If you go to City Hall or go to the Facebooks or come by my office, I'll get you the paperwork. You fill it out, and that's the start of getting something done. It's probably not gonna-
Now, before we end this, ma'am, Counselor Proctor, did you have?
The reason the river's flooding as bad as it is the rainfall on the burn scars.
Right, I get
All the
that.
burn scars were north of us in the past, from the Wright fire. They got floods over there. Now then, we're in direct line with the Salt Fire and the South Fork Fire. And there's no vegetation, no trees, no grass, no weeds to prevent that water or slow it down. And as the Public Works Director stated, that you cannot go in the river and change the flow of the river without the consent from the Corps of Engineers and EPA. You can't do it. It's illegal. He could be fined personally. The city could be fined personally, and that would put us in dire straits. But I understand where you're coming from. If you'll get with me after this meeting, I've got some paperwork that will put you in contact with some people that you can call to see if they can help you.
Hey.
I'm also concerned with my neighbors. I mean, they've all been working so hard to clean out the mud and rebuild their storage sheds. Some people haven't even gotten in their stuff to see what is there. I mean, and some of them are elderly people that need help, and they're not getting any help.
Well-
I call FEMA. FEMA not helping.
The lady that just was addressing the council before you, previous city councilor, she has had extremely bad things happen to her house and her property because of the river and the flooding. So I hope that has helped you a little bit.
I
That's
just
what-
want to sleep a
that's
little
what-
bit better at
That's
night.
what everyone has had to say.
Mayor,
Counselor Miller, maybe,
Oh,
okay.
I have heard Homeland Security is at Horton Circle, and they will help clean up your property, whether you have insurance or not.
Nothing
So,
can happen until you
Eric-
fill the right of entry form. Nothing.
Yeah, well, they're at Homeland,
There's a church group that's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I.
Cleaning for
I
free.
called them. I mean, it seems like everybody's supposed to be helping, but then, I mean, they're not. They're just
They're
not.
not.
Right.
Do you,
I called 3 times to get help.
do you,
And nobody.
did you call home?
did you have,
Yeah, no, they're at Horton Circle. I'd go visit them.
and do you have insurance?
I don't.
If you had insurance, you would be eligible for $5,000 if you had insurance and evacuated.
I
$5,000 for
evacuated
each
more than
person.
once. I've evacuated at least 5 times now.
But you've got to have insurance.
No, I don't.
Mayor, on that, I think the president of the homeowners insurance group here in New Mexico, when he made that statement to give everybody $5,000, all state challenged that, and they won that case.
They did.
And, yep, and they said they didn't have to give the $5,000 because of the because of the burn fire.
Well, okay, sir, but they are given the $5,000.
Some, the people that got it before the judgment came back on it, they got the 5,000.
Okay.
But then now that what I've heard on the news, that it stopped.
All right, thanks for that
They're
information.
not giving nothing.
I didn't know that.
Right.
It's a $5,000
State
loan.
Farm wants it back. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
There is an organization started that is going to GoFundMe for people that have no insurance on their homes. And it's going to include Freedom Bloom, anyone that lives down on the river that have no insurance, that lost their home, that lost things in their home, can put in for a grant, and this is tax-free, given to them. And I'm on board with it, and we just had a meeting today with it, the K-Bobs.
Okay,
And they're gonna be trying to get, monies built up to help.
so if you'll see Counselor Proctor, see what, if anything can be done. It's a tough situation. The city does not own the river.
No, no.
Yes, Beth?
Is there a chance that we could create a committee specifically for that? Because it seems like the ability to talk to somebody that had an idea of the resources that are available is actually really critical right now. Somebody that has the ability to talk to all these entities, a group of people, would be critical because people are really seriously affected. We heard Hope's story.
Well, Beth, I will tell you this.
We can't just.
I attended a meeting, with the governor, with all of the, people from Ruidoso, the mayor, counselors. The reservation and the county. And while the governor was here, it was agreed with us that were there attending that meeting that we would that we would get together, all of the ones that I just mentioned, and see what we could do. So there should be a meeting with the entities that can do something, not just people that have an opinion here in the Downs, because it doesn't mount for. They do a lot of complaining and this kind of thing and the blame game. But maybe something will come out of that meeting because the governor did attend. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, thank you. I was thinking we have actually a lot of intelligent, connected people here in our community. And even the churches have, there could be some way to get people together, a few. And no, it's not ever perfect, but it would be better than nothing.
Well, the feeling is that with all of the entities that I mentioned,
Mhm.
the feeling is that we need to do something locally. That is the
Right.
county commissioners, Village of Ruidoso with their mayor and their elected representatives. The feeling was that Santa Fe, I'm just going to say Santa Fe, has not been doing the job. And there were some people, particularly the representatives from the county, were very upset with Santa Fe.
They got us the designation.
So we'll have that meeting without Santa Fe.
Well, here's a question. We got federal money, we got state money, and we've had millions in donations. Who is getting this money? And then how do we get it to individuals that need it? I mean, this is all over the news. We're getting money. So
County.
who has the money and how do we get it to
The people that really
individuals
need it.
that need it?
Mary, are we receiving anything in the village?
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
on the 17th, I came down here, I couldn't find anybody but he and the fire department. And I didn't know if we were gonna be evacuated or not. Finally, when I was here, they did decide to evacuate. And I had one phone call from Ben Lujan, associate.
Yeah.
And he called me and he asked me, what can I do? I know you're Mayor Pro Tem, where I can't get a hold of the mayor. And I said, well, I think he evacuated. And he said, how can we help you? He wanted to know right then and there what he could do to help us. And I was alone. I didn't have anybody. I went and found WG, but I couldn't find enough people to find out what the people need here, And then I was told I was pushed out of my house at 15 minutes with my mother-in-law, because they came and they said, we're taking her. If you don't take her, we're taking her. I said, you're not taking her. I have a bed in the car. If I have to go, I'll go. But no, fire department came with the nurse. She's our patient and she's leaving. So I had no choice. I had to leave that day. But I was just sick that there was nobody at City Hall that would take a phone call from a resident. And it's so easy to have this number sent to you, to your phone or whatever, you know? And I felt so bad because there was nothing for
Yeah,
our residents.
I was in constant contact with
Well, our people.
police chief. He will tell you.
I'm
had
not
fire
saying they
chief,
weren't. I'm saying our people couldn't call here and find out what to do or anything.
because somebody would have had to stay. I was the last
You
one
didn't
to
have to
leave
stay.
City Hall, and I stayed after everybody. It was a ghost town when I finally pulled out of here.
It's so easy to have the number here sent to your phone. And that's what I'm saying. Our people, I'm not blaming anybody because it's a first for us.
We've had several people,
But there
and I
was
think
nobody
Beth
they
was,
could call.
Beth was one. Someone else mentioned, we have a Republican form of government. We're not talking about political parties.
I'm not, I'm just.
A
saying.
Republican form of government instead of, the people that we're talking about. That's the reason we have city councilors. They're supposed to contact you as councilors. And that's the process,
City Hall.
not going directly to people. We've got that in the federal government. We don't have a true democracy. It's a Republican form of government.
All I'm saying is.
And
our
that's what's supposed to happen
people
here.
everywhere. Nobody to talk to.
At any rate, it's sad when I go to a meeting and everybody, even the governor was there. And the people over at the museum were real proud of our fire department. And we have people here that all they do is run them down, criticize. You did this, you did that. And here's what they had to say, the village, the county, because our fire chief, we know what the river normally looks like. It's just a barely little stream. I was talking to Judy earlier in Colorado where she had been. Those rivers up there, I mean, they get after it. They're 10 times bigger than our little river. They really get after it. Highway 70 looked like a Colorado river, not our river. It was washing vehicles down the road. And again, thanks. I just can't express the tremendous job that Joey and his guys have done. But our fire chief was across on the south side of Foxworth. There were people at Foxworth, and you guys know what damage it did down there. They were trapped and couldn't get across the highway to higher ground. Our fire chief and the deputy, Joey's assistant, deputy public works, they got in a front loader tractor, drove across that river, which was a highway, loaded up 6 people in that front loader, took them back across the highway to the Taco Bell area and let them out. All they ever get, even sometimes from counselors, is criticism and running down. They were the local hero at the museum, even the National Guard that was there. There's too much fighting and this kind of thing ever since, and there's no sense in it. There's no sense in it.
We'll learn
Yes,
from
sir.
our mistakes.
Address the issue of food of contact for, I know that there's the community foundation, and I know the Right to David, that foundation. And I met with Riker today. They've gotten over $500,000 so far in contribution. And Riker and his group is going to be in charge of going that, of getting that to the proper people that were hurt.
Where are they located at?
You know, I don't know, but I can get that information to you. I have Rikers cell phones, but it's a community foundation. They were also active during the last fire, but they've collected more money during this one. So that would be a place to start. And as most of you know, the Rio Board of Realtors has received, I think, over $500,000 from the National Board of Realtors. And they're giving it out in bits of $2,500 per person applies for. So I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but the Community Foundation would be one of those numbers to get. And I can perhaps get that information and get it to Ally so that she can put it on the website, as well as the information for the local board of realtors and their funds that they.
That's in Gyra Plaza, you know, like.
And also, Beth,
None of that requires insurance. So
And that's what she needed all this time.
That does not require insurance.
well, here's what we can look forward to, guys. They're gonna drop you on your insurance. It's coming. It's, they're dropping people left and right. You're not gonna be able to get insurance, I don't think. I don't know what we're gonna do, because forest fires are gonna keep coming. And, the governor did say this in the meeting that I attended, that she is going to see if she can't do something to get away from private insurance. And she is going to do her best to get the state of New Mexico to, you're nodding yes, you may know what I'm going to say. She said it's going to be hard to do, but she thinks that she can get insurance through the state of New Mexico for New Mexicans. Ron, did you have?
Yes, I did. I believe right now, and I don't have particulars, but I had heard about it 8 months ago. I attended a council meeting in Ruta in the village. And Farmers Insurance gave a 45-minute presentation on what was likely to happen before this fire to our insurance, because the system that rates risk was changed fundamentally. And it's led a lot of companies to walk away from this area. But what she said was, while it may not be adequate for some houses, New Mexico has a policy of being the insurer of last resort. And when she spoke 8 months ago, she said the cap on being able to buy insurance through New Mexico at that time was $250,000, but they were talking about raising it to $300,000, which probably wouldn't replace a lot of homes, especially site-built homes. But it would be a whole lot better than having nothing.
Right.
Now, a lot of the ones that got dropped were add-on. They weren't totally stick-built, and the entire state got dropped if you had added on to a mobile home. Now then, the next thing that'll happen is they'll just raise the rates so high that someone was mentioning a lot of people in our community don't have a lot of money. And they're not going to be able, they can't afford insurance now. Well, you can't afford not to have it, really. But,
How can you get loans without insurance? Many financial institutions will not finance you if you do not have insurance. So that's gonna hurt.
Same way they do on a car. Sign a binder, give them $25, move on down the road, don't make no more payments on it. Our state is very bad, but that's why automobile insurance is so darn high. And home insurance is gonna do the same thing.
yeah, you won't be able to afford it. But again, you can't not afford it. I hope we've been a little bit of help to you. I don't know. For people that don't have insurance, you know, you didn't even qualify for the evacuation because you had to have insurance to get the 5,000. But you got some more information from Dr. Proctor on that. Mr. Austin, did you have something?
Yeah, what I was gonna add is for that community shelter, you can find all their information on their website. Yeah, all their contact information, emails, how to get a hold of different board members.
That's fantastic. That might be something we could have them follow up.
Yeah, we can locate their website.
Yeah. Post it on our city website. Great.
Mayor, I have one more thing. There's people in our town or can't even afford to evacuate. We need to make plans for these people and have them picked up and taken to centers or taken somewhere. I've talked to people that cannot afford to leave. Or don't even have cars, some of them. So we need to look at that too.
Really good.
Mhm.
Okay, is there anyone else like to move on if we could?
Yeah.
I know Jim.
Yes, sir.
The animal control, CSO officer, during the evacuations, he transported, I believe, like 16 people
Mhm.
that didn't have cars or funds to be transported. So the police department kind of took that on. with the
I'm
help.
glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Cause I talked to a few people, I had to leave, or else leave my mother-in-law, but that, I worried about the people that have no cars, cap, and also the people that just don't have the money to evacuate.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps to address your issue in the future, we might have a access to, say, school buses
Yeah,
where you could have a single driver take 30 or 40 people, whichever direction is, the highway is still open, but that's something we'd have to plan ahead for. We didn't see this one coming,
needs,
but
yeah,
shame on us if we don't see the next one.
needs to be an emergency.
Well, the meeting that we agreed to in the museum a couple of days ago, this is something that, well, what I think what we're gonna be trying to do is approach this as a regional problem, not just the Downs. And so I'll bring that up in that meeting for sure. Could we move on?
Let's do it.
Okay, next on the agenda is councilors' comments. Councilors? Yes, ma'am.
Like to do this in stages. First of all, Lori, over a year ago, I went into HR. I was in a meeting with our city clerk, our HR director, and our attorney on the phone. And the reason I was in there was to ask for a raise for the position of the elected municipal judge. And the response I got from the city clerk was, oh, yes, we're working on that. And we also want to do raises for the counselors. Well, I didn't care about that. But then the last thing she said was to the city attorney that was something he needed to do. And that never happened. Next, the mayor has referenced this ordinance that we have that he keeps making the point that Ms. Miller and I both signed up on it. That's the first thing I ever voted on as a brand new city councilor with no training. I had no idea what it was. And I didn't understand that by taking off the clause that councilors could put something on the agenda meant that we could never put something on the agenda and that the mayor had total control of the agenda. And so all of this year, we've been trying to get that ordinance back on the agenda so we can fix it. It's broken, we need to fix it. And both Councilor Miller and I disagree with that ordinance. Next.
Jody, 1 second on that. You only have to go 180 days until you can change it. It's been, yes,
Did you change what?
the ordinance. We have a right to change it.
This is old. It's
No, it was done February 13th of 23.
The one I'm talking about was done in 2022.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one that says the counselors can't put anything forth.
That was 2022.
That was,
February 2022.
well, I looked it up,
Okay, let's move on.
Whatever.
that one. We can redo it.
Moving on. This is the Ruidoso Village newsletter, and this is the June newsletter. So that means it came out before the fire. And right here on page 5, they have a plan. Here's the emergency management plan. Make sure you're ready. Get set, get go. Here's what's going to happen if we have a problem. And then we had a problem. Our city was not. So that's something we need to deal with. Finally, I would like to congratulate and recognize the community of Ruidoso Downs who pulled together with no leadership during that disaster. I'd like to recognize our two the two counselors who did not evacuate, stepped up and served our citizens, and thank you for that. I'd like to thank our first responders who are risking their lives to save ours. I'd also like to thank our city workers, Mr. Jarvis and your entire crew. And I'd like to thank the citizen volunteers who stepped up and they got a distribution center going and they made sure people were getting fed. And also our court employees. Thank you for all that you did during that time. We got help from people all over our state, all over the state of Arizona, all over our country. And it was an amazing thing to see these people pull together at a time of disaster. And Mayor, I'd like to recommend that we have some kind of a monetary award to recognize our employees and our volunteers, everyone directly involved in this disaster, as it was happening and in the aftermath and during the recovery and the ongoing thing. I think we've got money in our budget to recognize our volunteers and our employees who've been instrumental in this.
Yes, Mary?
That's anti-donation.
No, it'd be a monetary award.
We can't do an award,
We can't, so at our awards banquet, we can't.
anything monetary. We could buy an actual award.
And
Like
give
a
them a plaque.
trophy or a plaque, but we can't do monetary value for ourselves. It's prohibited.
Okay, to the employees and volunteers, agree to sit down, I love you all, and I tried.
We can do a plaque, we can
They don't
do
need it.
certification.
Yeah. We'll have to discuss that during one.
Maybe at the Christmas award thing.
Well, just,
Can't do monetary.
No, I understand that, but a recognition,
Absolutely,
Yes.
of course.
I understand.
That is for sure. And that's state statute.
Okay, any other counselors?
Yeah, I've got quite a few things to say, but I'm not gonna do it at this meeting. I'll wait until, August 12th, our workshop. That's when we need to discuss what we can plan for another disaster and how to put it on there. I'll leave that between the city clerk and you, Mayor, because you're the ones that put this on the agenda. So I'm asking for that to be put on the agenda. We discuss that, emergency management for our city, regardless of what the county does, regardless of what Rio Dosa does. We need for us to have one
Yes.
for communications.
We have different conditions.
Right, I just think that would be good. And that's all I'm gonna say right now.
Okay,
Well, I've got something, Mayor.
yes, ma'am.
I've been here 28 years on this council. It would be 32, but I stayed out 4 years when my husband died. What I see happening here, first I put mayor, control, control, control. And I did that because there's actually 3 controlling and running this city. It's our attorney, it's our clerk, and it's our mayor. And they want sole control or agenda, which takes away our elected powers completely. And it's illegal. John ought to know this. You have no use for us city councilors because you control it. You control everything in the city. And I wish Gary was still here because a couple times he turned down something that I wanted on the agenda, but he called me in and talked to me about it. A gentleman at that time, anyway. Anyway, that is illegal and it deletes our granite powers of being here and helping our residents and helping our city. The council members may request to have an item placed on the agenda. Such item may not be placed on the agenda if the council has already decided the issue within, except for 180 days. The ordinance you keep talking about's been a year and a half. So we have a right to revisit that ordinance because it's not working for us. It's not working for the council. And after 180 days, we can't amend it. We have that right. And you talk about it all the time, John. Well, you're an advisor to us. You're not our boss, you're our advisor. The mayor, control, has opened up the council to legal action for him violating our Open Meetings Act, which was violated. You had the Open Meetings Act with the old council first. You didn't wait for the new council to come in January. The Open Meetings Act is made in January, not December for the old council. It's with the new council. So you have violated our rights at the Open Meetings Act. And if the clerk refuses to release the written request of us and the agenda access to the votes for us against
such access, the city clerk will be in violation of the Open Meetings Act also. I've been studying a little bit because I had to. And it's anti-democratic. Taken away from the elected officials, setting policies for the city. Ordinances and policies are our job. You talk about doing our job, that's our job, and you're doing it. You're taking away our power and you're doing it to us. One council member used to be able to have the right to put something on the agenda. Now 4 of us can't. And that was snuck in there. It was crossed out so we wouldn't read it. It was sneaky. And that's the common sense power of elected official. And I want you to know, I didn't sit here 28 years to be told what to do by you, and you. And that's it. I'm not mentioning names, but I will point. And this has to come to an end. You're taking our power and our jobs away from us. And yes, I'm upset because I've been putting up with it for 4 years now. And I'm not going to put up with it much longer.
Please get to your point.
My point is, you're not taking our power away if we have to go to court and get our power back. And the 2 of them that's running our city are the highest paid individuals in the city. So of course they want to run the city. But think about it. We don't have a democracy. There's no democracy here in this city.
Telling you again, I do my job description.
Well,
No
you're not
more.
letting us,
Take it to the governor.
you're not letting us do our
Take
job.
it to the governor. You'll find out that I'm doing my job description. You're not.
Well, no, somebody's
You
doing,
have anybody else.
somebody's doing it for you. Is what I
You've
see.
known me longer than
You're a
that.
gentleman, and I know somebody's doing it for you. And I think it's the 2 that I'm talking about.
Well,
And that's the truth, believe it or not. That's it.
No facts.
No
Yeah.
facts.
Mr. Mayor, next thing on the agenda.
Yes, I do have facts.
Yeah.
let's-
I got a comment. I didn't sign that paper in 22, so can I get something on the agenda?
No, you know who signed it? You know who signed
Well,
it?
in that case, I'm sorry, Joey, but you're fired.
It can be revisited.
Because, he was hired by previous, council. Joey, you're fired and most of the employees. Adios.
Listen,
Mayor doesn't have the ability to do that.
I want
Adios.
to thank our,
No, you're saying
I want to thank you
particularly you
for all you do.
are saying
And I want to
previous
thank our fire
council.
department.
Guys,
on the
too.
fly. All right, do we have anybody else want to make a comment? We're gonna be here till this time tomorrow.
Well,
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
You take a short recess, use the restroom.
In that case, yes. Gee,
How many minutes, Mr. Mayor?
huh?
How many minutes?
5 minutes.
I think we need 10 after this. Can I ask to be put to the top of the agenda? We have issues
Yes.
going on. I can't sit here 2 more.
Well, I hear you.
you look.
I hear you.
I would recommend that wholeheartedly.
Right, and now-
5 minutes is up.
Yes, sir, it is. Call the meeting back to order. And
There you go.
if there's no more, you want to use this little.
No, I'm comfortable.
Okay, so if there are no more council comments, I hope, then that'll be mayor's. I got no comments. Let's go to the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
could we move directly to Joy's,
That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, that is what we're gonna do. Well, you mean even after the public,
before the public hearing is?
yeah, I wasn't gonna do that, but we could do that too. Counselor Lacewell, you were going to, make a motion.
Put D before A. On public hearing.
Well, I would like to move that we rearrange our agenda to put Joey's issue at the top of the agenda and then the public hearing. And to take all of the discussion items off of this agenda and move them to a workshop in August.
August 12th.
You know, that,
August 12th?
Yeah.
On August 12th. Thank you.
that would cover it.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Roll call on that.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Baber.
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell. Motion carried.
That takes us to new business and item D, which we have moved to the top of the list, is discussion and possible action on approval of resolution 2024-16, a resolution adopting FY 2026-2030 infrastructure capital improvement plans, ICIP. Joey.
Mayor, members of council, before you is the 2026-2030 infrastructure capital improvement plan. There's a list of projects on there for the next 4 years. That doesn't mean that there's any grant money for these projects. These are just projects that the city feels needs to be completed or applied for. Need the approval to submit it. It was due the 23rd, and after the council meeting was changed, I had to get another extension, so I'd like to get this approved and move on from this part.
I'll make a motion to approve the item D, discussion of public possible action approval of resolution 2024-16, a resolution adopting fiscal year 2026 through 2030 infrastructure capital improvement for the plan ICIP.
I'll second that.
And Councilor Baber had a question.
Joey, what, you're saying these projects are all in the next 4 years? Is there?
Everything on here is a wish list.
Wish list.
Items we'd like to do.
But my question is, can we get grants for some of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm applying for 2 grants right now for Water Trust Board and Colonius, and a federal grant to look at doing spaghetti flats, which is one of our issues right now, and to do water and drainage in Colorado and Utah, which is the 2 worst areas we have.
Counselor Baber, if I may remember.
Yes, sir.
On that right there, I had to ask him that question here about 3 weeks ago, Counselor Baber, and what it is, this is a rolling thing, so in 25, we'll go to 31.
No, I got you.
Okay.
We can always, next year, we can always add to it, subtract whatever issues.
We
Okay.
discussed all this prior.
Is that got all of yours, Joey? Okay.
Vote.
I make a motion to approve.
Already been done.
Done.
Okay.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell.
Aye.
Counselor Baber.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Council. Mayor.
Keep hanging in there, Joey. That's all. That's the best I can do. Just tell you, keep hanging in there.
Thank you, Joey.
Okay, so, John, then we'll go to the public hearing.
Yes, sir. 9A.
Okay, public hearing is, an ordinance 2024-01. An ordinance, relating to the New Mexico Uniform Traffic Ordinance adopted by the city of Ruidoso Downs, establishing a penalty assessment program defining penalty assessment misdemeanors, establishing listed schedule of penalty assessments, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict thereof of the City of Ruidoso Downs Code of Ordinances. Has anyone from the public like to address this? Okay, so
Question, Mayor, is this something that we don't have already?
No, we don't have it.
We have it, they're going up with it. They're raising just like, stopping for a school bus, used to be $126, now it costs you $250. Open container, used to be $100, now it's $250.
Raising the fines.
They're raising the fine.
yeah,
Which hasn't been done in years.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? It used to be a $29 court cost. The legislative branch, through the governor, did away with that. So we can no longer charge $29 court costs. That money used to go into the corrections fund, which paid for people to go to jail for the jails, okay? If we do away with the $29, there's still a lot of money in the corrections fund, but eventually that's gonna go away. So we can create our own fund within the city. That's up to the city people. But the $29 has to be taken out of the ordinance. So right now, registration used to be $39, now it's 10. I can't oppose that. And I don't have any say-so as to what the new fines are. That has nothing to do with me because I impose the fines. I don't have a say-so. I mean.
all right, thanks. Thank you, Judge. Yes, ma'am.
If you're changing the amount, would it be appropriate to, just post it, send it out, have it somewhere that people can see so they
It's
kind
already
of
been,
know?
it's already been done there in the 2 weeks prior to this 2 weeks coming.
It was posted?
It was posted
in
3
the
weeks
hall?
ago for 2 weeks. Now then it had to be reposted because it was recessed at the 22nd.
What I'm saying is so that the citizens of the town can see it.
You come in and see the clerk and they can, whatever they go through to give you a copy of that will be given to you and you can see all the fines and everything on it.
I'm saying. so-
She's talking about like on the back of the water bill or something. Hey,
Yeah, just something so.
that's where they always put their notes.
Not to come down here, but so the citizens know. You know, but
We'd
enough
have
said,
we'd have to have a
enough
big,
Well, yeah,
enough said.
It has to be on the website.
Beth,
Oh.
yes, sir.
Oh.
The fees have disappeared, the $29 are gone. Starting July 1st, they're gone. Gotcha. So prolonging it more,
No, I don't,
is only gonna affect the community more.
I think it should be passed. I'm just
So,
saying, I think. It should be.
Adding $30 ain't a problem, but some of these are outrageous.
Yeah.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I'm just, it goes
Yeah,
up
I
from
hear you.
100 to 200.
I hear you. Chief,
We had nothing to do with the amount.
No, I got you.
don't know
I got
Yeah.
you.
where the chief probably answered those questions.
Chief Commander.
So DC and I sat down and went over that list. And I think from my 43 years of experience, I think it's more than fair. You gotta hit these people, some of them in the pocketbook before they get it. We're getting multiple offenders out of different towns. It's not just the Downs people. I'll take it straight up. I take care of the Downs people.
Thank you.
But those others,
Yeah,
you know, they're coming through at a high rate of speed. They're by putting us in danger, your kids, my kid, grandchildren.
okay, so Chief, let's tell it how it is. A lot of Texans have a lot of money. So they come through here, a little old $30 fine or whatever. They don't care. They're coming back faster next time.
That fine schedule we had was a joke. It was laughable.
Counselor.
police officers are still.
And I think this fine schedule is very fair.
Counselor Lacewell.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to address Beth Miller. Beth, are you saying that you would like to see a posting of the new fines so that everybody knows what the fine is after we get it fixed?
Yeah, some way, post office, put it on post office door or
Yeah,
something.
you're not asking for any
No,
copies of the public
Nothing more,
notice.
nothing
Yeah,
more.
just to list on their
Yeah.
website. Pardon me?
It's posted on our website.
It's posted on our website. Under what part of the website?
Well, the ordinance,
Not the ordinance, just after we
the
get this
actual ordinance,
approved.
they have to come to the city.
We're not
council.
looking for that. What we're looking for is after this passed, a list of these citations and their cost available to the public, so you know ahead of time that, wow, I don't want to go 100 miles over the speed limit because look what
We
that's.
can post that on the website. On the website.
Okay, sounds great.
And I think
And
that
clerk can do the same.
our judges and
We can pass it.
probation officers ought to have a list of them too.
Yes, sir, John.
Mayor, may I ask the city judge a question?
Dude, I'm just saying. That's you.
Of course. Address.
So my understanding is that this is the maximum fine. Do you as city judge have the discretion to defer part of that fine or to collect that fine over a period of time? What amount of discretion do you have as to the fine?
All of it.
There you go. Thank you.
Before the meeting's over, I want it
Yes, sir, chief.
Be,
on the record.
like the judge says, we need to take some of that money out and start another fund to maintain, the well-being of these inmates, these people that we arrest on warrants.
Right.
You know, go by,
I really don't care if they sleep good or not.
you know, we gotta take care of them, though. They still have rights.
I know, but I
You
mean,
know, we gotta furnish them with water.
you got a muffler here, went from $18 to $150.
Don't put out mufflers on.
What about
Don't
motorcycles?
speed if you don't wanna pay that $425, $35.
Don't confuse us with logic.
I mean,
All right, yes, sir.
Mayor, may I ask Chief, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Chief,
Yes.
we keep anyone here locally before the county comes to pick them up?
County doesn't
To the
cover
county?
them up.
I mean, who takes the prisoners from our jurisdiction?
I do.
You do? Are we being reimbursed for doing that?
So I believe these fines only pay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these fines only pay for warrants that are made from the municipal court. If I pick up a felony arrest from, say, Texas or Albuquerque, I don't believe that our funds from the city here have to pay for that person and their welfare. This is just people that get a warrant through the municipal court here in the city, and that's what the additional fine is for.
But they, the county themselves, they don't come up and.
No,
we-
I have to transport, or the deputy chief, or the chief has to transport a prisoner down to Carrizozo, so the county decisions.
And I think the question may have also involved, do we currently have a holding cell or?
We do have a holding cell, and
How long are we holding that?
they're normally only held in that cell for less than 12 hours.
They're transferred at the end of the shift. So we have to furnish them with water, you know, maybe a frozen food dinner, something to get them through the day. We just can't leave them there, not eating, not drinking.
What you don't give bologna sandwiches anymore?
You know, we gotta buy.
Darn the bad luck.
Gotta buy, blankets.
Put a honey
We need that furnished.
Okay, then we don't have that separate, we provide that kind of service.
Yes, they have some in their budget to be able to provide some of that, and they were able to buy a refrigerator, water, things for the prisoners. It also pays for our ankle monitors that I try to utilize in lieu of jail because jail is so expensive. It's way cheaper to use the ankle monitors.
But we do have a fund set aside for that, that the city has it, Mary.
It's correction.
Oh, by that. You can tell them, Mary, okay, yes.
Has that got it, Mr. Williams?
But Mary, when there's no longer a corrections fund
Then
per
these
se.
fees and fines would be set up to cover the cost of care of prisoners.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, Maria, did you still have something you wanted to say?
No, that was what I was gonna say. Some of those fees will go to cover those costs that.
But there is still money in the corrections fund at this time. It would only be once that is eliminated, that would come into play.
Yeah. Bonnie?
I have no objection to the increased fees for breaking the law. But what I would rather see, or what I would also like to see, is these signs out front that are at the Mescalero Apache Reservation that says what your speed is, because I think when people come off the highway, they don't really know what their speed is. And I watch these cars and trucks go way too fast, endangering our animals and our children and other people. And so I'd like to see those posts. I don't know what those signs are.
Speed trap
It
signs.
tells you, slow down, your speed is this. And I actually called the state highway department a couple of years ago. And of course, they're not going to do anything. I think the municipal.
Well, you have a good point I mean, and I kind of jest about the wealthy Texans, but there are some that, the money is not an object unless you hit them hard enough, but you're right. When you come off that, if you're coming through Tatum and all of that, you driving 80 miles an hour and you come up through here. It is hard, I'm sure, for a lot of people to shut that thing down. They just don't, because there's not much of the town as far as buildings and this kind of thing. So there is probably some of that. They just don't shut it down quick enough. And as far as I don't know, I think,
Speed limits are well posted. We got flashing lights, signs, reduce speed ahead. You know, it's not like they don't have, a prior warning. We've got really nice signs out there, or this
I'll write down.
DOT does.
The speed limit actually reduces at mile marker 267, which is a little over 1 mile outside our city's jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So it drops to 50 miles an hour, 1 mile before our jurisdiction.
Continues 50
Nice
all the way
blinking
in.
light, 50.
It's 60 miles an
People-
hour up to
people know
mile
what it
number
says.
267, then it drops to 50. And it's-
so actually, we're doing pretty good.
And then when you get up through here, it's 40.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good, I think, Bonnie, but, yes,
I
Mary?
mean, there's no excuse that like Thanksgiving Day, I got that guy at 99 and a 50. No excuse for that.
Also,
And then we're-
we're almost to Fox Cave trying to pull a Texan over. And then I told my wife was coming back from Oklahoma. I said, Chief's out there by himself. I said, he's way down here.
Yeah.
And I almost turned around and come back, but then I seen you.
Well, and we've gone full circle, as Bonnie says, that's dangerous to our kids when somebody's been driving 99 miles an hour.
It's dangerous to
Everything.
all those RV parks out there on Highway 70, somebody pulling out. They cannot estimate that speed at 99 that's coming at them like a bullet.
Them trucks can't either whenever they hit that Jake coming by my place either.
We're gonna take care of that later.
Well, the Downs does not have a bad name for that. I can remember when Tularosa was known as a speed trap, and it had a bad name for a long time. Mary?
The only thing I wanted to address is Bonnie's comment on the mileage posting, slow down, your speed is blah, blah. And I could be wrong, but I was in several meetings trying to get this street light back up. And I can tell you that all signage and all lights and everything on that highway has to go through DOT. We cannot put anything out there. They have to prove it. So if you call DOT and they said they're not going to, I don't know how that we would be able to get them to.
No, they just pushed the idea along. They didn't.
Yeah, so in those meetings, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard them say, because we talked about getting flashing lights before the light, we talked about all of these factors, and they said that
They have to do the study and and they're responsible for that, not us.
They'll do a traffic study.
Yes.
Those signs have to be a certain size.
Yes.
Letters have to be certain size.
Correct.
Well, if that's color, I'll do it. We can do it.
Not necessarily. Once you go on that Indian reservation, different rules.
Well, I've got two of us, can they do it?
The Tularosa, well, they're not on the Indian reservation.
They could, and neither are we.
But at any rate, something that I either heard or read very recently, that the Department of Transportation, they don't like anything really to go up on that highway. Because the racetrack was wanting some things, I think they approached you, this kind of thing, and the highway department would not, they weren't gonna allow, they're just not gonna allow any stuff that,
What that was, Mayor, was that, the manager now, Rick Ball called me. They want to know if they could put flags on our light pole. Light poles belong to us.
yeah,
And we can do what we want with them within reason. And I got a hold of Joey and I said, I just told him I'd ask you and I've asked you and you told me. And I called him back, told him, no, can't do it.
yeah,
That's from
Yeah.
Joey's.
I see,
state of New Mexico trumps Riddle Sedan.
you see welcome signs outside of Tularosa, slow down, enjoy our beautiful town, something like that we could do probably.
Maybe 20 feet in the easement.
Yeah, I don't, okay.
Without the highway department, that's
Yeah.
welcoming people. you
I
know.
recommend we move on to.
Is there anything else? All right,
I just have one more comment.
Okay.
The thing I would say is I would caution city council about raising the fines too much. There are watchdogs, and that is the reason that $29 got dropped. And there are people watching every municipality right now to see what they are doing with fines without the $29. So I would just caution you all to say, is this a realistic
Number.
jump? Or is this we're more than doubling it? I would just caution you on that, because that was the reason the $29 got dropped, because we only deal with work people.
I think
Have you seen this, Judge?
thank you, Judge.
No, I have not.
Counselor Latham?
Jeff, do you know the last time the fines were raised?
Before me. They weren't raised, they were lowered. Some of the fines were lowered, prior to me taking office. The city clerk lowered it. It went through. But that was prior to me. So since I've been here since 2020, they've never been addressed. We did provide the previous chief with where everybody else was on a few occasions, but it never got addressed. But I would just caution, when you're looking at those fines, to think about, you're gonna have watchdogs that are watching, and they're the ones that got rid of the $29, which is a drop in the bucket. And so you need to use caution when you choose to raise the fines to something that might not be.
Is it a problem with anybody if
No.
we have the judge look it over before we vote on it?
I can't have any input.
Oh,
I
She
can give
can't
you
put
that.
any input.
Oh, I
I
got
gave
you.
you my input. There you go.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, Counselor.
the chief, about 2 months ago, the deputy chief sat right out there and went over all them fines one by one, if you all recall that. And we sat here and what they did, I asked DC where he got the numbers from. And he stated that they had done a check between Alamogordo, Carrizosa, the state, and other municipalities close to us, okay? And that's where they come up with it. And it's not as high as some of them. It's higher than a couple of them, but we're still within the state police's fines for what they do. And as long as they don't go over that, want to understand, we're okay. And this is all they're asking for, is this year.
So counselors, you've got quite a bit of input when you make your decision. Could we,
Just one more. for the-
yes, sir.
Please,
yes, sir.
Judge, are those the fines, you have the option to fine, what's your other options? In lieu of fines?
Community service.
I can defer the fines, I can reduce the fines and defer part of it. I can give them payment plans, I can give them community service, depending, you gotta be sober.
Why would these watchdogs be so concerned about this, the numbers, if the judge has the options?
Because they're not looking at that, they're looking at some judges aren't going to be that flexible, they're just gonna go directly off of what's on the list. And so those amounts that he's reading off are not the amounts that were given in DC. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I don't know where he got those amounts.
But being a local entity that has its own ordinance specifically addressing how the fines are applied, nobody has any business to get it to say, you can't do this. If we, as we believe it's legitimate, and you have those options that you have, you can work with those.
John, you're wrong on that.
So what happened at the last legislative session is that there is a group of people and a group of legislators who back that group of people, that there's a movement to get rid of municipal courts. So the watchdogs, as Lori's referring to them, are those who will be watching to see how the municipal courts react to the loss of the $29
And the counties.
in county.
Too.
And so they will come back and say, the cities, in lieu of getting the $29, have increased the fees and such, and we don't think that's fair to Joe Blow. And therefore, we would recommend that you do away with municipal courts, and the legislature has that power.
Do you feel from what you associated with up there that they are going in that direction?
Yes.
Who would they go? Who would hear the cases?
Magistrate court.
Magistrate.
They tried to give municipal court away.
Mayor Williams' term, we had hearings on getting rid of municipal court. And it was determined during those hearings that municipal court was a good thing for the community because it was community oriented.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mayor.
I remember that meeting, John.
I have one more comment for the chief though, real quick. Like tail lamps, if your tail lights are out or dimming, or you headlights or something are out, it's $85, but you have the choice to give them a warning or not.
That's right.
See, there's all kinds of things that.
They can write the ticket and the judge can defer it to or fix it within 24 hours.
I really doubt that anyone's.
He can also give them a warning instead of a ticket.
Unless they got a bad attitude.
Okay, well, that's up to the police.
I don't want to use the term fix it in this discussion.
John.
Okay, let's close the public hearing. Close it to the public and open it to the counselors, for any questions, comments, et cetera.
We're not taking action on this.
No.
It's just a public hearing.
We've got to wait till the 26th.
Vote. So we can move on to new business item. eight.
Okay,
Mayor, I have a question for the city clerk. City clerk, isn't it true that once we've discussed this ordinance and it's been posted for 2 weeks, that we can choose to vote or not vote on it tonight? That was the.
You have to give notice. What it allows you to do is it allows you to give notice that, you can have public discussion without the notice being applicable, but because, or you can have actual action taken on an ordinance, you have to give 2 weeks publication notice that night action will be taken on that ordinance.
What, the notice that you published 3 weeks ago, did it not say?
It said specifically last month. And so, when you recessed and adjourned, that notice died because of the fact that it was only a notice to the public that night. So anybody who wasn't here that night, didn't know that it had been recessed and adjourned tonight, wouldn't have notice of that.
I was told by another city clerk that when everything rolled over to the next week, it will.
That may be true, but, of what her opinion is, but that's not my opinion.
Okay, so under new business. Item A, discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-12, a resolution approving final budget adjustments for the fiscal year 2024. Mary?
I move that we open the discussion and take possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-12, a resolution approving final budget adjustments for fiscal year 2024.
Okay, Mary?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Before you are your budget adjustments, the final budget adjustments for this last quarter, which is April through June. Do you have any questions on that? And these adjustments that are required by resolution means I have had to change the actual bottom line of the budget, whether it increased the budget or decreased the budget. Whenever we change the final budget, it requires a resolution. I can go in and do budget adjustments with a fund. If they have excess money on one line and they need money on another, that's an inter-transfer. It's not changing the bottom line of that budget. When I finished with those adjustments, it remains at the exact same amount it was. The resolution budgets are changing the bottom line of the budget. Do you need me to go over them with you and tell you what they are or why I did them?
Please.
Okay. So on page 1, some of these are in and out. So page 1, the 2,000, the first 2 lines, the credit, and then the debit, that's an inner budget transfer. It's not changing the bottom line on anything. All of 1042. All of 1042 are in and out. There's no bottom line change. 55, same thing, 10,000 out, 10,000 in. When you see line 28, that's a new grant money Joey applied for streets. And we were granted, so that's money we actually received that was not part of the original budget. So I have to put the revenue in and I also have to put the expenditure in. So that's money, new money coming in. And then the 1072 is an in and out, which does not require resolution. Okay. The second page. These lines I actually had to increase. So for the Fund 20 is where the PD receives money from the racetrack for reimbursement of overtime. And we received more than what was in the budget. So I had to increase the revenues we received and also increase the expenses. So when the money comes in, it goes back out. We get money in Fund 20, and then I go in and we journal the credit towards their actual PD overtime. So they can see the credit in their actual PD overtime, which is another journal. But I had to increase that fund because they received more money than what I had originally put into it. So they got more money, they had more expenses, and it's the same amount on both sides. Fund 28 is the same issue on the first page. Joey applied for another DOT grant. It's not called DOT, it's called TPF. And we received 226,100 in revenues, and he's going to spend that in expenditures. So I had to put that in there to reflect those monies earned. And then in Fund 29, all of these 2930s are actual money coming in. So the original budget for the revenues on the fire allotment, we received more than what I had in the original budget. So while we were doing the budget for 24, the state decided to increase the allotment amount. So I put in my preliminary budget, this is the amount we're going to receive. And then when they send out the stipend, it's more than what we had in the budget. So it increased their budget by $5,312. So because we received that money, I have to report it. And I'm increasing the bottom line. On the interest income, I had put, I'm guessing on what the interest is. This is the first year, full year that I've had interest.
So we received $6,000 more than what I had said we were, which is a good thing. Lodgers tax, same thing, revenues were up. All of these adjustments in lodgers tax is because we received more money than I had in the budget, which is always a good thing. We always want our revenues to be more than what we think they're gonna be. The museum, I had to transfer more money into the museum because the expenditures on the museum side was more than what I had in the budget. So I had 32,000, I think, in utilities, and it ended up being 36,000.
For the
So,
museum?
with no one in there. Yes, sir. So
That's a quarter or what?
that's for the year. That's for a full year. So when I say I'm only gonna spend 30,000 in utilities and we get utility bills and it costs us 36, I have to increase the budget. So in order to increase the budget, since the museum doesn't have a revenue source, operations covers the cost of that. So I have to increase the expense side, but I also have to increase operations transfer amount to cover those costs.
And who's covering the cost of all that that's running over there now?
We will.
Is that still a CARES Act?
In 88 days, if they stay past 89 days, then they have
Then
to
we
pay
can
us
charge
again.
them
But that's why they left
over there.
over there and
Yes.
they'll leave from over here on the 88th day.
Correct.
And you wonder why people hate the government.
So, but on this right here,
Yes,
that
sir.
would be higher because of the construction that was going on. They were using electricity and stuff over there.
It could be that, it could be we had a really cold winter and, you know, we didn't want the pipes to freeze, so it just, and realize all utilities did CPI increases, like we're going to do.
Like all them computers and telephone lines that are on over there, we can't cut all that stuff off?
It was off.
No. Me and Proctor's been down there.
Right.
It's almost
The
worse.
only thing,
Every office on the bottom floor, you can pick up the phone and use
right,
it.
because we have to have telephone line in there in order for
One,
the security system, but they could never figure out which line it was.
so we pay for all of them?
Yes. We pay
Instead of somebody
$600
going and figuring it out?
We had techs go in and try to figure it out. TDS went in there and tried to find which line it was and they
Oh,
couldn't.
God. They couldn't
So-
find it.
Yeah.
Sir, it was looked at and it was tried to be resolved, and I did actually end up canceling TDS. And then guess what? It just got reinstated. Because they have to have all that for what's going on there now. So,
So we paid TDS for them guys to come over?
what do you mean?
You said we didn't have TDS and now we got it?
Yes, because the village called and said, we need internet and phone over here right now. And FEMA moved in and that's what they did. So now we will pay that bill again. So I did cancel the bill. Okay, so back to the budget. 41 revenues were increased on the debt collection and I had to increase those revenues. And 53, we had more revenues than I had in the budget. I had to increase those. Sewer sales, same thing. 53, the village did budget adjustments to their budget and our cost was 15% of those. So I had to expend out I had to increase those lines by 159,733 and 23,000 because that's what they billed us and we have to pay them. I did not have that in the budget, so the adjustment occurred. We actually had more expenditures in the trash. The state admin fees were more than I anticipated. And so I had to increase it by $514. The sales was also increased by 48,000 and the environmental GRT was increased by 16. So we don't have control over that. We received dedicated GRT for distributions 1/16 for Green Tree solid waste. So what we receive in our gross receipts is calculated by that factor of what we are dedicated to pay them. So every month we receive our gross receipts, we have to disperse that money to Green Tree solid waste. And that's done monthly. So when I guess what the gross receipts will be, I'm guessing. So the gross receipts came in higher, we had to pay out more. And then you'll see the increases on the revenues on the same other side. I had to increase all those revenues as well for trash. Interest income I had to increase, the water sales I increased, the water meter deposits I increased. The revenue for the state distribution GRT, I had to increase by 116,000. So I estimated what our gross receipts distribution would be for the year, and we actually received more. We received $116,626 more of revenues than I expected. So I have to increase those lines. Do you want me to go down line by line on these?
We went over this once, didn't we? I know.
I just want to know a couple of things.
Absolutely.
The equipment maintenance repair, where you got it in pink, plus 40,000 to the 47?
Okay, you're talking about budget, we're talking about adjustments.
Okay.
So we're on the adjustments right now, sir. And I'll go over that when we get to the budget.
Can I ask a crystal ball question? If in fact this disaster that we have is going to impact our community as far as no people staying in hotels, no people in the camps, or no people going to Walmart, and our GRT is down,
Right? What happens?
yeah,
So in mid-year, if our gross receipts are down a huge amount, right? And it looks like, well, first of all, we have a pretty good cash flow, okay? We have $5 million sitting in there. We don't want to eat that away. So if we had 1 year where the gross receipts were highly impacted, then it would be up to the council to start cutting people's budget that's been submitted. Because the budgets we've submitted are based on the revenues that we're forecasting, right? And so that would be something you guys would have to determine at that time. I can tell you that I have gone through really low revenues, and then I end up having, I thought I was pretty in sync with what I could see forecast wise, percentage wise, and I'm still short. I mean, we still receive more. I cannot predict, but yes, that's a very good question, and that's what would happen.
Councilor Latham, let me add to that just a little bit, if I might, Mary. I know in discussions with the legislative branch in Santa Fe, that there are plans to introduce a bill in January that will allow the municipalities that have been affected by the disaster to get some credits back for gross receipts, so as to cover us on that. So I think that the state is going to be considering that, and hopefully we'll get some help there.
And I know through COVID, they did the same thing.
That's good to hear because this summer is a disaster.
Yes,
We will not have
absolutely.
the revenue that we're used to
Did
having.
anyone have any other questions on the budget adjustments? Are we okay with that? Roll call.
Councilor
call.
Miller,
This is our final budget.
Just the adjustments.
Just the adjustment. Okay.
Councilor Proctor,
Aye.
Councilor Baber,
Aye.
Councilor Lakewell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next, we're gonna go over
Item B, Mr. Mayor.
Item B under new business, discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-13. A resolution approving the final quarter financial report for the fiscal year 2024 budget. This quarter ending June the 30th, 2024.
I move that we open discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-13, a resolution approving the final quarter financial report for fiscal year 2024 budget, quarter ending June 30th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Okay. So this is our recap sheet for the final quarter in 2024. It's one sheet. And then this one here,
On the table.
this one here that says revenues with comparison to budget for the 12 months ending in June. These are the actual transactions for all the departments. These are the individual transactions for all the departments, and if you look on page 1, under the gross receipts, the state gross receipt distribution, which I had to do the budget adjustment for, you can see that there's only 23 cents of unearned because I made that adjustment. But we were way over in revenues than what I had predicted. So this recap sheet, the cash, this is the summary of everything that's in these pages, okay? How would you like me to go over what happened in the year? I can start with operations and tell you what the revenues were, what the expenses were, if we were in the black. Or we can go through the actual expense and revenue report.
Is this some of the paperwork you sat down right here at our desk?
I have an extra one. Are you missing the recap?
Yeah, I don't have one.
Can we send that down to him?
Thank you.
Never mind that.
Mayor, I'd suggest that we just go through this.
Okay. So operations, I call it operations, it's general fund. We had a beginning cash balance of 4,789,819.19 cents. We earned $4,974,12.50 in revenue a year. We had transfers out of $179,615.97. We had expenditures of $4,329,565.95. That leaves us an ending cash balance of $5,265,203.31. So we started with 4.7, we ended with 5.2. That includes the $50,000 I transferred into the emergency fund after reviewing, seeing that my revenues were far more than my expenditures, okay? So you guys didn't, but it was passed as a resolution that every year, if we had more revenues than we did expenditures and operations, we would move $50,000 into the emergency fund. This includes that transfer, and we still are in the black 400. So how do we know how much in the black we are? And I'm just going to show you so you know how to use your book. If you turn to page, I think it's, if you turn to page 18 in this book, well, this book is a picture. I'm over here. Oh yeah, it's finished. Yes, it does. It does.
Even
Okay.
when you're wrong, you're right.
Even when I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. So on this page, if you look down here at the very end, you have your gross totals here, right? And then you have total fund expenditures. Does everybody see that? Okay, so you have $4.5 million in expenditures. So the net revenue over expenditures, at the end of the year, we earned $464,830.58. We came out in the black, okay? So that's how I know when I look at this. I mean, I can do the math through this sheet as well, but this is where it calculates it so you can see it clear. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Okay. So I'll move to Fund 20. This is a police grant. And what I put in here on the police grants or any grant monies they receive that is not the LEPF. So this year they received $150,000 for hiring, law enforcement recruitment. If we didn't spend it by June 30th, we had to surrender it back. So I've already done that. We received it, we didn't spend it. I've already wrote the check, it's been sent back to Santa Fe. So When we start police grants in this particular one, we didn't have any, there's no cash balance. And that's what we want, because what comes in goes out. So when they get reimbursed for overtime, they get money reimbursed for overtime. The revenue is posted. We get the money. Then I go in and however much they were reimbursed for whatever, whether it was the Village of Ruidoso, it was DWI or STEP or whatever reimbursement they're getting reimbursed for, I go in and I journal the revenue expenditure into Fund 20 as an expense. And then I go into the police department in their actual overtime line and credit that amount to their overtime, because that's what they're being reimbursed for. So this fund is always in and out. And then the credit is seen on the actual overtime line in PD. Okay? So it shows that we received 168,316.66 in revenues, and we spent 168,316.66 in expenditures.
Because we didn't use it. Yes,
We spent it. 150 of it went back to the state.
that's what I
It's
meant,
not ours.
Yeah.
So we spent it.
because we
It's
didn't use it,
expensed. But it's still expensed.
because
it's
we didn't
not.
use it.
We have to.
We sign a grant, we have to
Yeah.
follow what the grant requires us to do. It's a reversion. So the check was written and it was sent. So we did, it's an expenditure. And then if you come down to corrections, which we were all talking about earlier, you have $76,000, 76,784.23 beginning cash. We had 8,867.79 revenues come in. We transferred out 13,366. They had expenditures of 4,865.71, which left them an ending cash balance of 67,465.65. So if you want to know what that expenditure, the transfer out was for, when the budget was originally set up in fiscal year 24, it was agreed upon that any money that the court spent for equipment or improvements to the court, that corrections would cover the cost of that. And so the money that was transferred out from corrections to operations is to cover the cost of those improvements they made to court. Judicial education, this is money we receive in and it goes right back out to the state. So we started out with 1,699.87. We had revenues of 1,301, expenditures of $890, and it has an ending cash balance of 2,110.87. Court automation, same thing. We received 17,1225. We started with 1,712.25. We had revenues of 2,579.11. We had expenditures of 1,920, leaving an ending cash balance of 2,371.36.
They're just court automation and computers and IT stuff.
No, court automation is money that they collect on fines that dedicated to a certain, so when we collect it, it goes back to the state. So that 29, there's several of them. There's a form they have to do every month and it's based on their revenues. And that form is filled out and then we have to write a check back to the administration of courts. And so that's an in and out type of thing. And I think that's going to stop. I don't think those monthly reports are going to happen anymore now that they've done away with the $29 fee, which is what she was referring to.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to go down all of the lines the same way, or do you have questions on certain lines? I will do it any way you want.
Okay. Just open it up for questions on certain items unless the
Okay,
other councilors want it to go straight.
Gas tax,
I'm sorry.
gas tax.
So we receive revenues from gas tax, 1 cent and 2 cents. And that's based on how much fuel sales we do in the downs. And the state distributes that just like they do the gross receipts tax. So every month I get a report and it tells me how much we received in 1 cent and how much we received in 2 cents. So I post those revenues. Now, there are revenues that are dedicated to operations. So they don't stay in there. They're actually, the revenues we receive in that fund have to be transferred back out into operations. That's the way the state mandated the money. The other money that goes in there, I put all of Joey's because there's cash sitting in that account. So I put all of Joey's MAP monies in there. If he gets grant money for road work or servicing work, I put the revenue and the expense in that line so I can keep track of those monies, what's going in and what's going out. So there's grant money. So if you look at, let's look at Fund 28, so you can see what I'm referring to. If Fund 28 is on page 35. So if you turn to page 35, you can see all the money that's come in grant-wise, as opposed to the money that has come in for the 1 cent, 2 cent.
The three big ones are for the grants.
Mhm. So we received those money in, like, and this is where it gets weird on the budget. I received the money this year, right? I don't have the money to show in the new budget because I've already received it. It's in the cash. All I can do is show the expenditure, so it looks like it's off, it's skewed off. I don't have a revenue and an expense. But most of the time when I'm doing the preliminary and the final budget, I don't put any grant money in until I have it in my hand, and DFA requires that. So that is what you are seeing, and you can see that it is grant money that's coming in.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Any other questions?
Explain 32 to me,
Okay.
CARES Act.
Yes. So that's the NEU money we received 2 years ago.
Mhm.
We received $693,000, okay? And it can only be used for infrastructure, internet improvement, or IT infrastructure. Can be used for sewer or water improvements, right? So we have this money sitting in there, and Joey did a good job on spending most of it with redoing all the sewer lines in the museum, okay? But we didn't spend it all.
Mhm.
So now, this year, we spent $80,000 because he bought new sewer pumps. They went out. So he is buying brand new infrastructure on those sewer lifts or sewer pumps. I don't know what they're called, but they're extremely expensive. And we can use this money to buy those new units. So, and we need to spend them
Is
because
this
it's
the
gonna,
end of it, the end of the money?
that's all there is. Yeah,
That's
see,
all
you
that's
see that there was no revenue coming in because it's all sitting in
Yeah.
cash. And the only expenditures was the $80,000, and that was to a pump company that is repairing those pumps.
Mhm. Are we still going to use more of this for the music?
I
Is that
think
what
Joey
the
has it
plan is?
dedicated for, the rest, he's gonna use most of it on replacing all those pumps that are out. He's had multiple, and he's not here to answer those questions exactly, so I don't wanna misspeak, but I know that he's had generators that's broken. Large, expensive generators, like $15,000-$20,000 ones.
Most of those pumps are up on East West Circle on the other side because the house is set there and the sewer line is deeper.
They have to
So
pump
it
it.
has to be lifted up. And yes, that's what that's for. And I think we've got, got 5 of them. if I'm not
And I think
mistaken.
he has a quote, it's gonna spend most of this money on that.
I thought we were gonna save that, some of that for the museum.
Well, everything that we could use it for the museum, we did, which
Did
is
it
sewer and
already?
water. We could use it for IT infrastructure. I know we're gonna probably have to pay for fiber to go down to the public works. And so we can use some of the money for that because we need, it's eligible for IT infrastructure. And fiber is part of that,
Mhm.
so. Any other questions?
The
Cannabis
yeah.
Regulation Act.
So this is the money we receive from anyone in our municipality that is selling cannabis.
Okay.
So I put that we were gonna receive, I had a higher, I think I had like $8,000 and I don't remember what I had, and we were receiving small amounts from this shop down here. And then I haven't, over the past 3 months, there's been no revenue. So I haven't spent this money. They say that you could use this money pretty much for anything, but I have it sitting in there because I'm kind of waiting for the federal government to make it legal. I know everybody else is using it. And I thought maybe we would get enough revenues. I mean, they're charging 12% tax. And out of the 12, we would get 6, but we just haven't seen very much. So that is something that could be lucrative if it happens. we could get more revenues there. And so the expenditures on that is when, again, so when the state distributes, this comes from the state GRT distribution. They send these reports out and say, this is what you're gonna get. When they send that money out, they charge admin fees. So this expenditure of 7282 is their admin fees on the distribution of the $2,400. So.
And you see these people walking up and down the highway out here, higher than a kite and not enough to drink.
What about Go Bond?
The GO bond, that is our debt. So GO bond is
That's the $1 million loan deal?
1.4, yes, sir. And so this is based on property taxes. So the GO bond debt is based on the formulation of property taxes to make sure that we earn enough revenue to cover the cost of the actual loan payments. And we're getting down to, I think we have 4 more years of payments and we're done. I think this year our payments are like 200 and something.
That's the loan from 98.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Sewer fund, that all stays with the sewer?
Yes, sir. Those are enterprise funds and they are not commingled. Do you need me to go over that?
No,
Okay.
I just, water fund
Water is the same thing. That's,
stays with the water
yes, sir.
and they can use it for.
So water and sewer are their own, they're independent. They're enterprise funds. They cannot be commingled, which means they must earn enough revenue to pay for every expenditure they have. They don't get help from anywhere else. So they have to be self-sufficient. They're their own businesses.
So they're their own businesses, but on 56, you got water and sewer improvements.
That's what I
But
was just looking
56
at.
is not. 56 is dedicated GRT. That's 1/16 dedicated GRT monies. So we receive 1/16. So in our GRT distribution, Fund 56 receives 1/16 of the distribution of gross receipts tax as revenue, and that revenue can only be used for water and sewer improvements.
Sewer system cap equipment.
Yes.
infrastructure.
And water.
What's the security fund?
Security fund is all the monies we receive. This water security fund is a trust fund. And it's the money we receive from water security deposits. So what we receive and somebody leaves and they don't pick up their deposits, it has to be reverted to the state and then the state has to try to find the owners of that. So usually what comes in goes out on that one too. But it's a trust fund and it is not commingled, does not earn interest.
6 months later, the state keeps it.
I'm good with my questions.
Anyone else? Okay.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Baber.
Aye.
Counselor Lakewell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Takes us to item C. New business discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-14. A resolution adopting fiscal year 2025 final budget for all funds and applications to the local government division of the New Mexico, that should have stated New Mexico, no, the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the approval thereof.
So we open discussion, the possible action on adoption of resolution 2024-14, a resolution adopting fiscal year 2025 final budget for all funds and applications to the local government division of the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the approval thereof.
Okay, so on this
Do we
one,
have a, sorry.
Second.
Second.
I'm jumping the gun.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this goes to the questions you had where I have highlighted, but this sheet is a recap sheet. Okay, this is kind of a duplicate of this, right? Yes, but the difference in this one and this one is I have to take the ending cash balances, which is over here on this sheet, have to be beginning cash balances over here on the new budget, okay? So because of that, I don't have a report that can show me the new tax balances on the new, so that's why I have a spreadsheet, okay? In your preliminary budget, you asked me to change 3 items, well, 2 items in the budget. And then a third came about right before the presentation of the final. This sheet you were asking me about earlier, and I have highlights on this, okay? So if you turn 1 page over, just open it up. I have highlighted for you the change. The change in that line is adding $40,000 so that we can improve the sound system in this council chamber. Whether you need it or not, I'm not sure. But it's in there so that we can get a good sound system in this council chamber to accommodate all of this. So $40,000 was added to this budget, okay? Then the other 2 requests, and this is on page 13 of this book. And what you're looking at is the new, but this is the new budget. Page 13, these are your new budgets. The only other changes I made to the budget for your request is I added in the $10,000 to the High Mountain Youth. And I added the $2,000 to Zeotherapy, which is the transit. I did not change anything else in this budget.
What's the 10,000 High Mountain Youth?
We had to ask
How
for that
much did you
for
give
this
for the
organization
transit?
called High Mountain.
30,000. It was 28 and they wanted to put 2 more.
And
Of course, you have
If we
the
wanna
56
continue,
Right.
we haven't
in
spent,
lodgers.
how much of that have you spent?
For this year?
We should have asked that earlier.
They started charging it the second you guys approved it last year.
That's right.
And I don't know if you're getting your services. I have no clue.
Oh, yes, they are, and it's been working really
It's
well.
been working better is what I hear from people.
Okay. So that's the only changes I made from the preliminary to the final. I did not touch insurance rates, none of that, because Donna said they're really close in what we predicted they would be. So instead of going in and trying to do all the math for all the different departments, I left them as is. The only changes I made from preliminary to final are those 3 that I have highlighted for you. That is the only change.
Zeotherapy Center.
That's the
The
transit.
transit,
They wanted $2,000 more.
I think he made that motion. I can remember when we were
I don't.
doing it, but, when would I have to go and ask for Rogers Tax to help us on that again?
It's already in the budget.
It's in the budget. But don't they have to renew that every year?
It was for this year, so.
It was for this year, not till next year. Okay.
Nobody's got a problem. I move that we make a motion to accept it.
Motion was already made and seconded. Mayor,
Cool.
Mr. Mayor, roll call.
Roll call.
Counselor Miller,
I would like to, approve the budget, but I still want to look into the salary of our clerk. Because we never actually voted on that or had a talk about it, and I can't remember doing that salary to what it is today.
it went up all by itself.
It did, and I'll approve the budget with the exception of that.
So, to refresh your recollection. Resolution dated 14th of March, 2022, whereby the city council, signed by Coleman, Walker, Langfist, Miller, and Lacewell, set the salary amounts into the personnel code, so that those salary amounts are now part of an ordinance. So if you want to change those salary amounts, you would have to bring up that ordinance.
But doesn't I'm just curious, according to the state statute, the way the merit system was worked and all the rest of that, isn't the city clerk one position that has to be voted on every year?
No,
The wages do,
the
the wages do.
salary is set by personnel code. So if you wanted to review that, you would need to ask that the personnel code come in front of you.
We just don't have any recollection of that much money.
Okay.
We don't, and I never voted on administrative fee too that the mayor's give her, I guess. Because we would have had to vote on that position also.
Just saying, I've got it here if y'all want to review.
Like to. But I'll approve the budget except for that. Wages. The clerk. Because we're the ones that set the wages.
Well, that's correct, and you did.
I didn't. Because I didn't vote for the budget last year.
You signed the resolution.
I don't think so.
It was another one of those things where we didn't know what they were really doing to us. It happened a lot.
No, it's another one of those things where you are so informed, made a lot of mistakes.
The only way that you.
Council-
This was never discussed.
Coming back on you.
Amend the salary, Judy.
It was also 2 months before my first training.
This was never discussed.
The only way that you can amend the salary of the city clerk are all those employees who are in this particular resolution, which has now become part of the ordinance, the personnel code, is to go back into the personnel code and amend them.
The
And it's
wages of
Resolution 20
at-will employees aren't the same. At-will employees' wages are not the same as all the employees.
That code again, John?
Just saying that within that resolution, there's a city clerk, treasurer, assistant city clerk, billing clerk, court administrator, police chief, fire chief, assistant fire chief, all those salaries are set by this ordinance.
Even the at-will employees,
Which has become part of the personnel code.
the at-will employees should be different, not in with the rest of the employees.
I'm just saying that is the effect of what you did.
Well, I'd like to see a copy of that. And
What
why
was that
wasn't
called
it
again, John?
discussed?
It's resolution 2022 dash 05.
My recollection, all these things should have been discussed. Not just made and voted on. We would never discuss this. I don't know anybody that gets $20,000 added to their salary in that short a time.
All I'm saying, Judy, is that what I have here is a resolution that adopts salaries of the city clerks and others in this resolution. So that resolution has become part of the personnel code.
Well, I'd like to see it and revise it.
Okay.
Counselor Miller,
Aye, with my
Councilor
exception.
Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Weaver.
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
And the rest of the stuff will be discussed at our workshop.
Letter E.
Yes.
All the discussions, we got another email.
Last item. Z, discussion of possible action on approval of New Mexico Municipal League 2024 Annual Conference Voting Delegate and Alternate Voting Delegate.
I move that we open discussion and possible action on approval of the Mexican Municipal League 2024 annual conference voting delegate and alternate voting delegate.
Second that.
Didn't hear you.
But he's the
Okay.
I spoke to the mayor and he's going. So if he's going, I won't go.
Yeah, because it's usually the mayor.
Or the mayor pro tem. If he's going, he'll be voting and I won't have to be there.
Well, last year he went and he didn't vote and the vote did vote. There's no guaranteed vote. Something like that might come up again.
Okay, I'll make it real easy for you. Because of your intense hatred of the mayor, I had spoken to one of the counselors and just, hey, I'm trying to get
You
to,
don't get to tell me how I feel.
and so I asked Counselor Baber if it might be a good experience with him. He said he would be happy and some of that.
No, I said I
You
would
can
go,
share.
but if you're there, I've
Well,
done it.
if he wants to do it, I don't have any objection to it.
I've done it
Give
on
up
the
some of this
computer
control
before.
I'm supposed to have.
Mr. Mayor, what's presented to the council pursuant to the agenda, though, that you would be the voting delegate, and you would be the alternate voting delegate.
Mayor Pro Tem's alternate.
Okay,
So we. That's it.
That's it.
What I was trying to say. That's it.
okay.
Let's vote on it.
Yes.
I can sit here and do it on the computer if you don't
So,
want to
Mr.
do it.
Mayor, roll call.
Roll call.
Counselor Baber.
Aye.
Counselor Miller.
Aye.
Counselor Proctor.
Aye.
Counselor Basil. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, counselors.
Good night.
Uh,
We're adjourned.
yeah, having no more city business, we are adjourned at, my goodness, it's after 8 o'clock.
That makes up the